I never believed a place could hold its breath until the night Savannah did. Streets that always smelled like river mist and magnolia felt sharpened, like the city was waiting for something to happen and already knew what it was. I swear the lamps along River Street flickered when I walked past them like they were whispering what they had seen. My name is Colton Reyes. I am 62 years old. And until that night, the wildest thing I ever survived was a divorce that left me with half a house and twice the loneliness. I have spent the last 8 years bussing tables, fixing up docks, and trying not to let grief make a home in my ribs. Most days it did anyway. Before I tell you what happened next, subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. It helps more than you know. I was sitting in the Juniper Lantern, a diner tucked between the old cotton warehouses by the waterfront, the kind of place where the coffee tastes like burnt secrets and the grilled cheese can fix anything except the thing that broke you. I go there to feel normal, or invisible, depending on the day. That night I wasn't either. A waitress I had never seen before walked straight to my booth without writing down an order. She wore a navy apron, hair tied back, no name tag. Her eyes were the kind that look like they're memorizing you for later. "You're Colton, right?" she asked. My chest went tight. "Who's asking?" She glanced over her shoulder, swallowed once, then set a small wooden box on the table. No wrapping, just a lid and a thin brass clasp. I could smell the cedar before I even touched it. "You'll need this tonight," she said, voice barely above the hum of the ceiling fan. I blinked. Why would I need anything tonight? She hesitated like she was arguing with herself. Then she leaned in close and whispered, "You already do." A plate crashed somewhere in the kitchen. She flinched, and then she walked away, fast. She didn't take another table, didn't grab coffee. She just disappeared through the side door that led to the alley by the river. I stared at the box. My first thought was that it was a prank. Savannah has its fair share of bored college kids and restless tourists chasing ghost tours like they're buying nightmares off a shelf. But this wasn't that. The clasp was warm, like it had been held recently. And the wood. The grain looked like storm patterns, spiraling, pulling inward. I should have left it there. I know that now. The bell over the diner door chimed. I didn't look up at first, but I felt it. The sense that someone had walked in with purpose instead of hunger. Boots on tile, slow, heavy. My heart thudded. When I finally looked, a woman with an elegant coat and a silver brooch shaped like a crescent moon stood just inside the entrance. She scanned the room, not like someone searching for a table, like someone hunting. Her eyes landed on me. I snapped the box shut. I hadn't even realized I'd opened it a crack, and slid it into my coat pocket. 1 heartbeat, 2, 3. She stepped closer. Each footstep felt like the city exhaled with her. "Excuse me," she said, voice smooth as riverstone. "Have you seen a waitress come through here? Young. No name tag, brown hair?" I swallowed. "No, can't say I have." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "If you do, please let her know I'm looking for her." She tapped her fingers on the table, a rhythm like a code. Then she left without ordering. Only when she was gone did I realize that everyone else in the diner had gone quiet, forks hovering above plates. Conversations paused mid-word, like they all knew not to get involved. The waitress never came back, and the box burned against my ribs like a heartbeat. I left cash on the table and stumbled outside, boots scraping against cobblestone. The air smelled like the river and storms and secrets. I told myself I would throw the box in the trash, but I didn't. Some part of me, the part that still remembered how to hope, thought maybe this was the start of something like purpose instead of pain. By the time I reached the riverfront, the box felt heavier, like it was choosing me as much as I had chosen to carry it. I looked up. The moon shone so bright it made the water look like polished steel. And then, beneath the LED glow of the Riverwalk lamps, I saw her, the waitress, standing on the pier, waiting. She raised her hand like she was warning me away. And that's when I knew opening the box was only the second worst decision I was going to make that night. The pier groaned beneath my boots as I made my way toward her. Savannah's riverfront isn't quiet even at night. Boats hum in the distance, gulls cry like ghosts, and the wind plays tricks with your memory. But in that moment, everything muted, like the world was waiting for me to make a choice. The waitress stood at the edge, arms wrapped around herself. that navy apron still on like she had forgotten to take it off, or like she left in a hurry. I cleared my throat. You forgot your tip. She didn't turn around. This is not about money. Then what is it about? Her breath shook. Someone made a promise, and someone else broke it. And when that happens, things fall on people who were never supposed to hold them. I wish she would look at me. I wish she'd just say it plain. But life doesn't give you subtitles. You gave me this, I said, patting my coat where the box rested like a weight. Why me? She finally faced me. The wind caught her hair, strands sticking to her cheeks. She looked younger out here, fragile. Like the storm lights from the harbor were painting her smaller than she was. Because you still believe people can come back from things, she whispered. Because you look like someone who hasn't given up yet, even when you should have. I didn't know whether to feel seen or exposed. Listen, I said softly. I'm just trying to make it to the end of the week without falling apart. I'm no hero. She shook her head. Heroes don't think they are. But someone dangerous thinks you have what they want. That made my skin crawl. Who? I asked. She opened her mouth to answer, but the lights along the pier flickered. Once, twice. And then every lamp from the docks to the street went dead. My breath turned to ice. From the darkness near the waterfront, a voice cut through the wind. Aria, the waitress, Aria, now that I had a name, flinched like the word was a knife. A figure stepped into the pale silver of the moonlight. Same coat, same crescent moon brooch. The woman from the diner. Her eyes found mine, and something in her expression said she had expected this moment to happen, that she was counting on it. Give me the box, she said. I wanted to say no, to stand tall and prove that 62 wasn't an ending, but my voice jammed in my throat. All I could manage was, what's inside? Something that does not belong to you. Aria moved between us so fast I didn't have time to react. She held her hands up, palms out like she was trying to calm a hurricane. You can't take it from him, Aria said. If he opens it, it ends with him, not with us. Ends with me? What does that even mean? I demanded. What's inside? A weapon, evidence, drugs? The woman's eyes narrowed. Open it and find out. Aria shook her head violently. If he opens it before midnight, he dies. If he doesn't open it at all, we all do. My heart stuttered. I took a step back. The water behind me churned like it knew more than I did. Who are you people? I whispered. Aria looked at me with tears forming. People who trusted the wrong man. And you're the first one in years who wasn't bought or broken by him. The woman in the coat took another step. I felt my back hit the pier railing. You have until midnight, she said. After that, the choice is made for you. Her voice was calm, like death with manners. She turned and disappeared into the dark. Aria sagged like her bones had turned to sand. I forced breath into my lungs. Why me? Why tonight? Aria wiped her cheeks. Because tonight is the anniversary. Because the person who was supposed to fix this ran. And you think I can do better? I asked. No, she whispered. I think you're the only one left who might try. The moon hung overhead like a clock with no hands. I checked my watch. Habit, not hope. It didn't matter. I couldn't see the time. The pier was too dark. What's in the box, Aria? She hugged herself tighter. A choice. I thought of my quiet house, the empty dinner table, the years I wasted staying safe instead of getting better. Maybe this was the universe's cruel way of offering me a second chance. Or maybe it was the final nail. Either way, the box felt heavier, and midnight suddenly felt very close. If everything she said was true, then opening the box meant dying. But not opening it might mean watching an entire city fall apart around me. I did not sleep that night. I did not even pretend to. Aria left me on the pier with nothing but riddles and desperation, and I walked home with the box held like a live wire in my hand. Savannah was quiet, too quiet, like a held breath again. The kind of silence that makes you feel like the world is watching you instead of the other way around. My home sat near the historic district. A modest bungalow with peeling paint and a porch swing that creaked louder than it should have. I used to share it with someone who made the world feel wider. Now it felt like a room inside a room inside a room. I locked the door behind me, double-checked the windows, and set the box on the kitchen table. It looked smaller in the light, almost harmless. Almost. I made coffee to keep my hands busy. It didn't help. The steam curled like fingers around my face, and for a second I swore I saw shapes in it, my mind playing tricks. Or not. I sat across from the box like it was an opponent at a card table. "What are you?" I muttered. It did not answer. But it did feel present. I reached for the clasp. My pulse hammered so loud I could feel it in my gums. Then my doorbell rang. I jumped like I had been shot. The coffee sloshed out of the mug and onto the floor as I stumbled to the front door. I pressed my eye to the peephole and saw a blur of a figure. Someone tall, broad shoulders, hood up, back turned to me. I hesitated, but hesitation has cost me too much in life. I cracked the door open. "Can I help you?" The figure spun so fast I didn't have time to react. A hand slammed against the door, forcing it wider. The hood fell back, revealing a man maybe mid-40s, clean shave, eyes like a sermon and a threat at the same time. "I know what she gave you," he said. I swallowed. "Who are you? Someone trying to keep you alive?" That didn't narrow anything down. He stepped inside without waiting to be invited, gaze scanning the house like he was assessing exits, shadows, blind spots. "Where is it?" he asked. "That depends on who you are." He exhaled, frustrated. "My name is Jericho. I used to belong to the same circle as Arya. Used to believe in the promises before I realized they were chains." He looked at me then, really looked, like he was measuring my worth. "You do not need to open it," Jericho said. "You just need to deliver it before midnight." My heart lurched. "Deliver it to who?" He hesitated. "That is the part I'm trying to figure out before they get to you first." The room felt smaller, like the walls shrank an inch with every second. I moved to the kitchen and pointed at the table. "It's there." Jericho approached the box like it might grow teeth. He didn't touch it. He just stared. "Do you know what's inside?" I asked. He blinked slowly. "People think it's a fortune or a curse, but it's neither." He tilted his head. "It's proof." "Proof of what?" "That we were lied to, and that the person who lied never intended to keep us alive long enough to ask why." My stomach twisted. "Then why give it to me?" Jericho turned to me. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Because you have nothing left for them to take. They can't blackmail you, can't threaten your family. You are the first person in years who isn't tied into their debt." The words stung because they were true. I had no leverage, but I also had no weakness. I was free in the way a man with nothing is free. Jericho reached into his coat and pulled out a photograph. He placed it on the table beside the box. My breath caught. It was Arya, younger, smiling, arms wrapped around someone who looked like a mirror of the woman from the diner. Same eyes, same mouth, different life. Two sisters. Behind them, barely visible in the background, stood a third figure. Jericho tapped the blurred silhouette. "That man built the lie," Jericho said, "and he will do anything to stay a ghost." I leaned in. The shape sharpened in my mind like a Polaroid developing in reverse. Tall, severe posture. Something familiar about the distance he kept even in the photo. Jericho watched me. "You recognize him," he said. Not a question. I didn't lie. "I used to work the docks," I whispered. "He used to come by. Suits, meetings, money changing hands. People called him the Charter. Said he saved businesses." "Saved," Jericho echoed, bitter. "He saved no one. He bought souls at a discount." My blood ran cold. Midnight suddenly felt like a noose tightening. "What happens if I don't deliver it?" I asked. Jericho's gaze softened, not kindly. Condolence. "Then Savannah becomes his next ledger entry." I stared at the box. A choice. A man with no family, no anchor. Maybe that made me the perfect sacrifice. Or the perfect weapon. I looked up at Jericho. "What do I do?" He didn't smile. He didn't blink. "You survive," he said. "And you make sure the truth does too." My house creaked. The wind outside rose like a warning. Something told me we were already out of time. If delivering the box could save the city, then someone was already making sure I never left my house alive. Jericho stayed at my table like a statue while my mind ran laps trying to keep up. The box sat between us, small enough to hold in one hand, heavy enough to hold the night hostage. Outside, the wind rattled the porch swing. A loose nail tapped wood like a metronome counting down. "I can't go to the police?" I asked. Jericho shook his head. "He has people everywhere, lawyers, inspectors, donations in the right pockets. If you walk in with that box, they open the door for him instead." I rubbed my jaw. So what? I'm supposed to just walk out there and hope he doesn't find me? No. Jericho's voice lowered. You walk out there and make sure he does. On your terms. That sounded like suicide. Before I could answer, headlights swept across the front windows. Too slow to be passing cars, too deliberate. The beams didn't move. Jericho stood in a breath. Back exit now. I froze. All the years of living quietly, staying small, keeping my head down. This moment was the bill for that life. Fear used to be a passing visitor. Tonight it unpacked its bags. Jericho grabbed the box and shoved it at me. You carry it, it will look wrong if I do. How is that better? I hissed. He scanned the room. Because you are the only one who can hold it without burning. Before I could ask what that meant, the front doorknob twisted. Slow. Testing. Jericho nodded to the back. Go. I moved, legs stiff and uneven. In the living room, my boots caught on the rug. The door creaked louder than I remembered. Every sound felt amplified, like the house was betraying me. Jericho whispered, if we get separated, go to Emmett's Pier, slipway number 6. Someone will find you. Who? He didn't answer. Something slammed against the front door. Wood cracked. I bolted to the back, flung it open, and cold air slapped me awake. I didn't see Jericho follow. I ran anyway. The alley behind my house fed into a narrow street lined with shuttered antique shops and iron balconies dripping with Spanish moss. The streetlights flickered like dying matches. Savannah's charm felt like a warning tonight. Beauty wearing teeth. My lungs burned, but I didn't stop. The box pulsed against my palm. Not literally, just the weight of it. Like it wanted to move or breathe or speak. Like it was waiting for the right moment. Halfway down the block, a car door slammed. I ducked behind a trash bin. Footsteps echoed. 2 sets, maybe more. Someone whispered a name I couldn't hear. Radios crackled. My heart thudded like thunder trapped in bone. I risked a peek. It wasn't police. They wore plain clothes, earpieces, like private security, but wrong. Too stiff, too sharp. They moved like choreography instead of training. One of them touched the railing of a porch and flinched like he'd been shocked. He pulled his hand back, stared at his palm. They weren't just looking for me. They were following something. I crept toward a side street, staying in the shadows. The box felt heavier, like lead. Then a voice hissed from the dark. Colton. I spun, fists up. Arya stepped out from behind a dumpster, cheeks streaked with sweat and mascara, apron gone, coat thrown over her shoulders. You have to come with me, she said. They're tracking the energy off it. It's bleeding through the wood. I stared at the box. You said it was proof. It is, she breathed. Proof of what was taken, proof of what he stored inside, proof of what he wants back. I wanted to throw it into the river. Let the current decide, but I couldn't. Maybe that was the curse, or maybe the responsibility. Jericho said Emmett's Pier, I whispered. Arya nodded. Slipway number 6, there's a contact there, someone who knows how to open it safely. Someone who paid in blood to learn. What's inside? I asked. Tell me straight. Arya swallowed. Years, she said. I stared. What? Took from people like us, pulled out of them, stolen in pieces, bargained away, locked in there, years. Life, memory, debt. My stomach dropped. You're saying this, I held the box away from me, is time? Time that was never his to sell. My hands shook. I imagined opening it and losing whatever was left of me. I imagined not opening it and letting something worse happen. Somewhere behind us, a door burst open. Voices spilled out, urgent, close. Arya grabbed my sleeve. We have to run. We sprinted down the alley. My knees screamed, my chest burned. 62 years old felt like a wall. But fear made the gaps. We reached the waterfront. Emmett's Pier loomed ahead, skeletal in the moonlight. Boats rocked like restless animals. The water looked like ink. Slipway number 6. A metal ramp partially lowered into the water, slick with algae. A figure stood at the end of it. A silhouette. Waiting. Arya slowed, breath ragged. That's him? I stared at the water, the horizon, the box in my hand. I stepped forward. The silhouette lifted something. A flare ignited. Red light tore across the pier, illuminating me like a target. Arya screamed, "A move!" The flare's glow revealed the face I never expected to see. And in that moment, I realized the charter wasn't a ghost after all. For years, I thought memory softened edges. Tonight, memory cut sharper than glass. The flare's red light burned through the fog and splashed across the water like fresh blood. And at the end of slipway number 6, the silhouette stepped forward. The coat, the posture, that impossible stillness. I knew it before I understood it. The charter. The man who haunted the docks. The man who bought futures and sold ghosts. The man everyone thought had vanished. But he hadn't vanished. He had been waiting. He lowered the flare, its hiss echoing off the boats around us. "Colton Reyes," he said, "you look well for a man who has lost so much." His voice hadn't changed. Smooth, cold, a sermon with no God in it. Aria grabbed my arm. Her nails dug in. "Do not speak to him," she whispered. "He listens with more than ears." The charter's eyes flicked to her. "Aria, you disappoint me, running, begging, hiding behind strangers." Aria trembled, but she didn't back down. "You took everything from us." He smiled without teeth. "You gave it, you all did. Willingly. A year for a miracle, a decade for a cure, 5 for survival. How quickly people trade eternity when they are afraid of tomorrow." My throat felt like sandpaper. I looked down at the box. Time. He was selling time. "How many years are in here?" I asked. He tilted his head. "Enough." "Enough for what?" He stepped closer, boots creaking against the ramp. "Enough to start again. Enough to end this city and build a new one inside its bones. Enough to remind people what it costs to fear death." His gaze pinned me. "Open it, and you will see what a lifetime feels like in a single moment." Aria stepped between us again. "If he opens it before midnight, he dies." The charter laughed softly. "Correct. Because what is inside does not belong in him yet. It would flood him, overload him. Not all hearts can hold a second lifetime." I swallowed hard. "Then why make me carry it?" "Because," he said, eyes glittering, "you are the only one left who doesn't know how to lie to yourself, and I needed someone honest." Aria shook her head. "You needed someone disposable." The charter didn't deny it. A spotlight flickered on from a nearby boat. Men in dark coats stepped out, not guards, not police. Something in between. Not uniforms. Obedience. Jericho appeared from behind a rope pile, panting, face streaked with sweat. "Colton," he rasped. "You cannot give it to him." The charter's voice sharpened. "It is not giving. It is returning." Jericho raised his hands. "Every person you took those years from, they aged overnight. They withered. They broke. You stole lives." The charter didn't blink. "They made deals. Deals you wrote," Jericho spat. "Deals you rigged." He turned to me. "Colton, listen. When you open that box at midnight, the years choose. They know where they came from. They know where they belong. If you hold it closed, you decide who pays. You decide who gets time back." The weight of the box pressed into my palms. A choice. Not life and death, debt and balance. Midnight wasn't a deadline. It was a verdict. The wind shifted. Somewhere a clock tower chimed. 1, 2, 3. I counted by instinct, alphabetically in my head like a prayer. 11:47, less than 13 minutes. The charter opened his arms. "Come, give me what is mine. The city will sleep, the river will forget, and you will walk away. Alive, untouched, free. Alive, untouched, free." Words like bait on hooks. Aria shook her head. "He will take more. He always takes more. He will take from children, from hospitals, from anyone desperate enough to bargain." Jericho stepped forward. "Colton, you can open it at midnight and choose to give those years back to the people staring at graves, to the ones who deserved more time, to the ones who signed out of fear." My hands shook. Time poured through my fingers like sand. Not literally, but close enough. The charter held out his hand. "Bring it to me." Jericho whispered, "Take it to the end of the pier. Midnight. Open it. Let the box decide. Let the years go." My chest felt like a clock about to crack. Every second hurt. The charter's voice cut through the air. "Do not be a fool, Colton Reyes. You are 62. Your life is already spent. There is nothing left to save." Something primal burned in me. I stepped back. He stepped toward me. Aria screamed. Jericho lunged, and the flare in the charter's hand burst. A shower of sparks, blinding, violent, a red sun exploding on the pier. In the chaos I ran, boots on wood, heart and throat, box clutched like a heartbeat. Behind me, voices shattered the night. Arya calling my name. Jericho shouting directions. The charter calm and deadly. Midnight, Colton, do not be late. The slipway blurred as I sprinted. Every breath a countdown, every step a question. At the very end of the pier, the river opened below like an ending and a beginning. I stopped. I held the box, and I listened as the final minutes began to die. If I opened the box at midnight, I could save the years he stole. But if I did, I might not live long enough to see dawn. The pier beneath me felt like it was breathing. The boards shifted, groaning under my boots, every sound magnified by the river wind. Savannah stretched out behind me, silent, waiting. Older than all of us put together. The box sat in my hands like a second heartbeat. I looked up. Clouds drifted across the moon. Light fractured on the water, broken silver like time trying to pull itself back together. I could feel midnight coming, not ticking, arriving. Voices carried down the pier. Arya, Jericho, and the charter. I didn't turn. I couldn't. If I looked back, I'd falter. If I faltered, people would keep paying for mistakes they never made. Jericho reached me first. His breath came hard, like he'd sprinted from another lifetime. "You don't have to do this," he whispered. "It isn't your fault." "No," I said, "but it's my choice." Arya reached my other side. Her voice was shredded raw. "He will die if he opens it before midnight. He will kill us all if you don't." And behind them, the charter's footsteps. Measured, unhurried. An executioner who had never needed an axe. "You cannot win," he said. "There is no victory here, Colton. Only cost." I took a breath deep enough to hurt. "I've been paying my whole life," I said. "Might as well know what the bill was for." He laughed. Soft. Like a teacher amused by a failing student. "You think you're noble," he said. "But nobility is just cowardice dressed in Sunday clothes. You are afraid to take what's offered. Afraid to live longer than your pain. So you hide behind sacrifice." He held out a hand. "Give me the box. Live. Let the city forget the names of the people who made bad deals. Let the world turn the way it always has." My hands closed tighter. "Some things shouldn't be forgotten." His eyes flashed. "Everything should be forgotten eventually. That is how power survives. That is how empires breathe." The wind surged. The river rose like a throat clearing. Jericho stepped forward. "Colton." But the first chime of the clock tower struck. Midnight. The world trembled. I opened the box. The lid didn't creak. It didn't fight. It lifted like it had been waiting for me the entire time. The air changed. Sweet, electric, burning cold and burning warm all at once. Inside there was no gold, no jewels, no letters, no beating organ or supernatural relic, just light, raw, white, hunger and mercy in the same glow. Time, stolen, traded, hoarded. Too much for any one man to hold. It surged upward. I felt it slam into me, through me, around me, deciding if I was worthy or just first in line. Pain cut behind my eyes, years folding and unfolding, memory stretching, bones screaming. My heartbeat misfired, my vision shattered. I heard Arya scream my name, heard Jericho's prayer break, heard the charter's voice lose its shape. Then I made my choice. With everything I had left, everything I ever was, everything I ever regretted, I directed the light backward, toward the city, toward the years stolen, toward the graves, toward the hospital beds, toward the people who signed out of fear and woke up with pieces missing. The light leapt free. It tore from the box like a river reversing direction, crashing toward the shore, racing through alleys, slipping under doors, cracking open windows. I could feel it, pulse by pulse, returning to the people it came from. Seraphine on Broughton Street, who lost 5 years for her daughter's surgery. The dock worker who gave a decade to keep his wife breathing. The choir singer who sold seasons so her brother could walk again. I didn't see them, but I felt them. Like candles relighting in a cathedral. The charter screamed. He staggered, hands clawing the air, the glow ripping away from him like flesh from bone. "You fool," he choked. "You cannot steal from me what I have earned." "It was never yours," I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. My pulse slowed. The world dimmed. My knees buckled. I felt Arya catch me. Felt Jericho's hand on my shoulder. You gave it back, Arya whispered. All of it. I tried to smile. It hurt. Someone had to. The city exhaled. The lamps flickered back on one by one. Boats steadied. The river calmed. Midnight passed, and I felt weightless. Not dying. Just done. Like a page finally turned. Jericho lifted his head. Colton, stay with us. I'm here, I said. Just not all at once. I looked at the charter. He knelt, trembling, smaller than his legend. Less ghost than man. What happens to him now? I asked. Arya looked toward the shore. He fades. Like all debts paid in full. I closed the box. Empty now. And somehow still heavy. The charter tried to speak, but the words slipped out of him like sand. Then he disappeared. Not in a flash of light. Not in smoke. Just gone. Nothing left to bargain with. Savannah breathed again. Jericho helped me stand. They'll tell stories about you, about tonight. Stories change, I said. Arya shook her head. Some don't. We walked off the pier together. And for the first time in years, the wind didn't feel like it was taking anything from me. It felt like it was giving something back. And if you've been listening this far, subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments what time it is where you're watching from. It helps more than you know.